You waited for it, the words that never came. I'm sorry. Not an explanation, not a defense, just those two words. And they never arrived. So you said it first. I'm sorry I was upset. I'm sorry I brought it up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And somehow you apologized for the thing they did to you. The person who never apologizes is not refusing out of pride. They are refusing because apology means something completely different in their nervous system. And once you see that, you cannot unsee them. A man named David is 47 years old. He runs a construction company. He has been married for 18 years. David has never apologized to his wife. Not once. Not in 18 years. When he hurts her, he disappears into work. When she brings it up, he becomes confused. Why would I apologize for something I did not mean? That sentence right there contains the entire architecture of his internal world. Researcher Harriet Lerner studied apologies across cultures for more than 20 years. She found something startling. People who cannot apologize are not lacking empathy. They are terrified of what apology requires. Apology requires surrender. It requires standing in the space where you caused harm and not defending yourself. And for certain people, that space feels like death. Read that again. The refusal to apologize is not strength. It is a nervous system in survival mode. Now here is the part nobody tells you. This person was likely raised in a house where apology was never modeled. Psychologist John Gottman studied conflict in families across 4 decades. He discovered that children who grow up without witnessing apology develop a specific pattern. They learn that mistakes mean you are broken, not that you did something wrong, that you are fundamentally defective, so they stop making mistakes or they stop acknowledging them. The second pattern is this. The person who never apologizes often experienced shame attached to vulnerability. If your parent shamed you for crying, you learned that tears meant weakness. If your parent shamed you for admitting you were wrong, you learned that honesty was dangerous. And so you built a wall between yourself and accountability. That wall kept you safe when you were small. Now that wall is the reason everyone leaves. Here is where it gets deeper. The refusal to apologize serves a function. It maintains control. Psychologist Harriet Lerner found this in her research on manipulation. When someone refuses to apologize, they are saying something without words. I am not responsible. You are. And because you doubt yourself, you accept it. You begin apologizing for things that were not your fault, and they never have to. That imbalance is not a relationship. That is a claim. The person who never apologizes needs the power more than they need the connection. And you are paying the price for their fear. Now here is what you need to know. There are 3 versions of the person who never apologizes. The first is narcissistic. This person genuinely cannot see your perspective as valid. They are not refusing to apologize. They are incapable of understanding why they should. Psychologist Malkin studied this specific presentation. He found that narcissistic individuals show reduced activation in the brain regions associated with empathy. It is not that they will not. They literally cannot access the part of themselves that would understand your pain. They operate in a closed loop where their reality is the only one. And because they cannot see you, they cannot hurt with you. They can only hurt you. That is important information because it changes your strategy. You stop asking for an apology from someone who is literally incapable of giving one. The second version is anxious. This person desperately wants connection, but they are so afraid of abandonment that they cannot risk the vulnerability that apology requires. So they deny, so they minimize, so they redirect blame, not out of cruelty, out of terror. If they apologize, they feel they have handed you a weapon to use against them. They have been hurt before, and they have decided that defense is the only way to stay safe. And the third version is the most complicated. This person knows they hurt you. They feel genuine remorse. But somewhere in their past, apology became synonymous with shame, with admitting they were wrong, with losing power. So they stand at the edge of apologizing, and they cannot cross. You watch them almost get there, almost say the words, and then something inside them locks up, and they disappear. That moment right there is not indifference. That is a nervous system in absolute terror. They are paralyzed by the weight of their own history. Now here is what changes everything. Understanding why someone cannot apologize is not the same as accepting that they never will. Those are two separate things. You can understand the mechanism and still require the apology. You can have compassion for their nervous system and refuse to stay in a relationship where accountability is absent. Those two things can coexist. Researcher Lundy Bancroft studied relationships characterized by refusal of accountability. He found that when one person consistently avoids responsibility, it creates a specific pattern in the other person's nervous system: hypervigilance, self-blame, a constant attempt to decode what went wrong. Your brain starts treating the relationship itself as a threat, and it begins predicting harm before it arrives. That is not you being paranoid. That is adaptation. Your nervous system is doing exactly what it needs to do to survive in an environment where accountability is absent. But survival mode is not the same as safety. Read that again. The person who never apologizes has trained you to apologize for everything, for asking for honesty, for wanting accountability, for needing an apology. You have become fluent in the language of taking responsibility for someone else's choices. That fluency came from somewhere. It came from repetition. It came from 1,000 moments where you learned that your pain was less important than their comfort. Now here is the truth. An apology is not what you actually need. What you need is to stop apologizing for requiring one. What you need is to trust your own perception, even when they deny it. What you need is to believe that your nervous system is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is protecting you from someone who cannot or will not take responsibility. Think about the last time you apologized for their mistake. Can you name that moment? Leave it below. Not for me. For the person reading your comment who just realized they have been doing this their entire life. Being seen is the first step to coming home.